Welcome back to another short Legacy League where we have Temur Delver versus Grixis Delver. A huge thank you to the Patreon supporters who are helping the league and YouTube channel. If you would like to become a supporter, please click on the link in the show notes. If you've been enjoying our content, please be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. Look at Andres' deck that we just saw there. He's running a pretty traditional Temur Delver list, I believe played by Juju Bean, if that's the right person. And he's running 4 Delvers, 4 DRCs, 3 Questing Druids, 1 Brazen Borrower, 3 Murktides, 4 Brainstorms, 4 Bolts, 4 Dazes, 4 Forces, 1 Force Negation. I don't think this actually is Juju's list now that I'm looking at it, because he has Chain Lightnings and 4 Ponders and 3 Baubles, and then traditional Delver lands. And then really the major differences between the two decks here, besides one having green and one having black, is Orcish Bowmasters in Ryan's deck, as well as 2 Stifles, and it's like 2 Molten Collapses. So the major differences between these two decks, aside from their mana base being black mana as opposed to green mana, is 4 Bowmasters, 2 Molten Collapses, and 2 Stifles, versus 2 Chain Lightnings, 1 Force Negation, 3 Questing Druids, and a Brazen Borrower. So we're basically just watching a mirror match here at this point. So, yeah, cool. And I love Delver matchups. I mean, I love them. It's probably one of my favorite things to commentate on, to play against, to watch videos of. Just, it's one of those things where it's hard to beat a good Delver deck. And I mean that seriously. It's really hard to beat a Delver deck. They have like a 50% matchup versus like everything. And we were just having this conversation tonight where you feel like you're going to have a bad matchup against something, and then you just like play a Delver, daze your opponent, wasteland your opponent, and then force a will them. And then they're pretty much in the toilet. And then you brainstorm and find your next piece of gas. All the while you're attacking with a 3-2 or hell, maybe even a 3-3 Dragon's Rage Chandler that every time you've cast a spell, it triggers. And you get to just like put cards you don't want into the graveyard and draw the cards you do. Seems pretty good. I mean, seems really good actually. So there's a Lightning Bolt on the Delver, and we'll see a Brainstorm in response. And yeah, there's things happening here in this matchup that Delver players, they thrive for. Like, they live for this. Like, when they wake up in the morning, they're like, you know what? I want to keep a 1-lander and play a Delver. And then I'm going to daze whatever they do on their turn 1. And I'm going to return that 1-lander back to my hand. But I'm not that worried about it, because my Delver is going to flip on the blind. And it does. And then it's going to attack for 3. They're going to play whichever blue land that they dazed with. Cast a Ponder, maybe a Brainstorm. They're going to find that second land. Probably going to be a Wasteland. And then they're going to Wasteland you. But, all's fair. Anyway, we've got a little bit of action happening here. We've got a fetch from Andres, and it looks like he's going to Brainstorm. And then we're going to actually get to see one of the patented Delver plays that really what Delver players wake up for right here. So we're going to see a Daze with a fetch land available. So Daze, boom. All right, cool, I'll fetch. Stifle. And that's what people wake up for. That is quintessential Delver at its core. Now the downside there is Ryan may have already known the top card of his library and just missed 2 triggers on the DRC. Maybe he didn't. But that was a very patented play. Now the interesting thing is he did burn quite a bit of equity on that brainstorm. Essentially burning 2 really good cards. And now Andres has an answer back with his own DRC. And Ryan, can attack, but also Andres can just block trade. And then Andres is actually sitting in the driver's seat here with Ryan having 2 cards in hand. Looks like it's a Murktide and a land. We'll see a Flip Delver coming now. And we're going to see a Murktide probably come from Andres here. He may even brainstorm first to see if he can find another land and then play the Murktide. I don't think he's too worried about a daze at this point. But nope, he's not even worried about the daze. He's just going to put the Murktide straight in here. Exile, probably making it it's only a 5/5. Okay. And then we're probably going to see an answer to that Murktide with said Murktide, dodging the daze, and then a Delver Zone. So, like I said, the difference between these 2 decks is literally 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 cards is the difference between these 2 decks, excluding the mana base. We got a Brainstorm, so maybe he can find that Brazen Borrow that will get rid of that Murktide, or just draw 2 lands and a Questing Druid, which actually isn't too bad. Questing Druid is basically the new expressive iteration for this Temur deck, casting it at the end step, exiling the 2 cards, so he can still use the secondary abilities either on daze or so during his upkeep. He's knowing that he's hellbent, he can cast this without worrying about a daze. So speaking of the daze, he can use this daze for secondary ability by returning a land to his hand. So he's able to actually cast those spells outside of the combat step. So all right, so we've got a 7/7 staring down, a 5/5, and a 3/2, and we're gonna see a daze on that. He's gonna pay for it, and I'm not quite sure why he did that, but I'm sure he knows better Delver math than I do. Swing over for 7. Andre's going to double block. He does have another Delver coming out of exile next turn, so that's pretty good for him, as well as he has that Questing Druid as well. So he could play the Questing Druid first, and then play the Delver, and now Questing Druid will automatically go up, or get a counter, not automatically. It'll get a counter from the cast on the Delver, and it'll get a +1/+1 counter on it. So it's already a little bit bigger than those 1/1s that are there. And then no blind flip, it looks like, for Ryan. And just finds a fetch land. So Andres can attack him with that 2/2 right away. If he can, there's another Delver for him as well. So we got just some shenanigans going on here. Looks like we'll see another Delver cast. Trigger on the Questing Druid, and he'll get to attack for 3 here, so he can't even double block, and he's offering him a trade on the other Delver. I don't think Ryan should probably take that at this moment, but it also may not get any better for him either, so we'll see. If his Delvers happen to flip, though, Andres is on the way, or not Andres, but Ryan would be on the way there, because he could knock him down, and Andres will have to flip his this coming turn. So, losing the green, no attacks. Let's see if he flips here. Blind flip. Nope. So we'll see a fetch for trigger 1, and then trigger 2. No, still no. All right. Wow. It's pretty tough. It's like you picked up another volcanic island. Beautiful volcanic islands from Andres as well. His German black-bordered Volks. So... all right, now we'll probably start to see some blocking here. So he's going to be under the gun. I'm not quite sure why he doesn't just go ahead and block both of them. I guess he's hoping to... but if that Delver takes off next turn from a flip, there's not much Ryan can do. Wasteland on the volcanic. All right. Trigger. And there's the flip into a stifle. Okay, so we'll see a untapped trigger. He's going to stifle the trigger, so not getting much better math on the stifle there than right then. Still has a ponder now, and he's going to pump up that Questing Druid as well. So trigger there, now it's a 4/4, and he has a chance of finding a lightning bolt and closing this game out. Does not find the bolt, unfortunately. Does find another Ponder, Force of Will, and a Force Negation. Guess he could take the Force of Negation just so he has a little bit of backup agency. We'll see what he takes. Looks like it's probably going to be that Force Negation, though. And then the Ponder on top, so he'll draw it the next turn. So Ryan is in a pretty tough spot here because he's going to have to block that Questing Druid, so Andres will be able to attack in for at least hit 1, putting Ryan down to 3. Yeah, block there. And see if we've got anything for Ryan here. Murktide's probably the only thing that's going to get him out of this. And then, nope, draws a land. See you in game number 2. If you've been enjoying our content, please be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. Welcome back to game number 2. We saw a beautiful showing of the Delver deck last game. I'll let you decide which showing you enjoyed more of Delver. Looking at the sideboards, Andres first, he's got 2 Collector Oofs, a Fluster, a Hydro, double Pyro, a Red Blast, Surgical Veil, Force Negation, Meltdowns, Torpor Orb, and Blood Moons. From Ryan's side, he's got Hydros, Pyros, 2 Hydros, 1 Blue Elemental, 1 Hydro, 2 Pyros, 2 Surgicals, 2 Price of Progresses, 2 Force Negations, 1 Meltdown, Pyroclasm, Null Rod, Counterbalance, and a Grafdigger's Cage. I would imagine coming out of Ryan's sideboard is both going to be Hydroblast, Blue Elemental Blast, and Pyroblast, as well as a potential for Surgicals and maybe 1 Pyrokinesis. From Andres' side, just probably the 2 Pyroblast and the Red Blast, potentially the Veil of Summer, and maybe a Surgical Extraction. Blood Moons could be pretty good against Ryan as well, as he does have a basic. Andres has a basic in his deck, and let's see if Ryan has any basics in his. Ryan is playing no basic lands, so potentially Andres could get a Blood Moon and work it out there. Tries to go for a Wasteland and gets stifled. No reason to really fight over that too much, as Ryan has 2 Force of Wills in his hand, it looks like, and a couple other cards can't quite make out. Wasteland is stifled and into the graveyard. I'd rather have my Wasteland stifled, I think, than my fetch land. So Delver's Secret's coming out of Andres, and there's the namesake of the deck. Gets to play a Ponder as well, so he's going to get to set up that flip on the Delver. So he's going to take a peek here. Can't really make out what it looks like. At least a Lightning Bolt I was able to make out there. Not quite sure what else he's going to see, but he'll take a moment to make sure he gets the top of that library settled just right to make sure that Delver flips the following turn. So give him a moment to just sort it out, likes what he sees, and he's going to go ahead and get that card off top. So he's got a Daze, a Force of Will, maybe double Daze? He does have a double Daze and a Force of Will. All right, we got a Bowmaster coming out. Probably see a Daze here, having Ryan pay for it. So this is a pretty important card here. And we're going to see a Daze. And then another Daze. So first Daze is actually off the stack at this point. We're going to see a Force of Will from Ryan, pitching a Force of Will. And we're going to see a Force of Will from Andres. So that's quite a bit going on there just to protect that Delver. And we've got a flip Delver with a Ponder in hand. And a Wasteland, it looks like, on the Underground Sea. This is kind of the type of gameplay we were talking about earlier in the match, where you land your threat and you protect it at all costs. Lightning Bolt coming off the top as well to deal with any threats coming from... Okay, well, Lightning Bolt coming from Ryan as well, knocking him off. So if we were looking at, who is up ahead here kind of thing, you would think it was Ryan because he has 2 lands in play, but Andres does have a Ponder in hand and finds threat number 1 and potentially threat number 2 there with a DRC, and it looks like a Delver right underneath that as well. So Ryan could find a Murktide and put himself in pretty good shape. Picks up a land, back over to Andres, and here we go. Like I said, we've got a DRC So queen 1 out, and then that resolves, he says, and queen number 2. So Ryan is in some deep doo-doo here unless he can pull out a large threat. That's not going to do it. And get this game done with... Oh, jeez. All right, well, the Pyroblast doesn't really do anything because he doesn't have any red mana at the moment. But Ryan is staring down 2 3/3s with flying, and drawing lands is not going to fix it for him. Andres finds a bauble, it looks like, so he can at least dig a little bit deeper in his library. He's going to get trigger off that DRC, sees what he likes. He'll keep it, not pitch it. Hydro doesn't do anything here. Surprised he brought Hydro in anyway. Ryan... I guess he does play the DRCs and the Lightning Bolts and the Molten Collapses, so yeah, it does make sense kind of thing. So, see if Ryan can pull a miracle out. It's a DRC and a Stifle. That's it. Thanks for watching, everybody.
If you've been enjoying our content, please be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below.